Welcome to Only the Bare Facts, Session 2. Thanks for joining me today. Going to keep doing these podcasts for a little while, see how they work out. I think there's a like and share button you can use. Share this with your friends. Send me a comment or send me an email. It's on the little ticker at the bottom there. You can see that. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the podcast, and if there's some stuff you'd like me to talk about or a guest you'd like to see, let me see if I can work that out. So this crazy last week of global madness and insanity, lots of things have gone on. One in particular that we all know about, that black-faced narcissist during our Christmas break, which is really an opportunity for the government to get paid and have a holiday while we try to have a good Christmas, was in BC snowboarding with his kids. Well, of course, there was a wonderful lady that told him to get the fuck out of British Columbia. That's so amazing. And as Jordan Peterson says it, the narcissistic psychopath didn't even care. It didn't faze him at all. He shook her hand and said, "Have a nice day." And where was his detail? I'm not sure. I didn't see them hanging around. And really, what did they do? And you know what's really interesting? I wonder how they look at themselves in the mirror at the end of a shift and go, wow, I protected that shitbag. I don't know. Two overpaid, useless liberals were hanging around Mar-a-Lago, acting like two stray Mexican dogs in front of the Trump mansion gates, begging for an audience or at least some monetary scraps or something while everyone was on holidays. Did someone forget to tell these liberals that everyone was on holidays, or did they just want to go spend some more of our tax dollars traveling to the United States in hopes that maybe they could, I don't know, secure their jobs or who knows what? In the meantime, pro-Palestinian riots in Canadian cities, unabated and uncontrolled by police officers. Good thing none of those guys had a pickup truck, a big truck, or a Canadian flag, because it probably could have been run over by horses. In the meantime, almost 5 million people illegitimately in Canada continue to suck up all the housing and food from working Canadians that are taxed into oblivion and poverty. Seniors, homeless, veterans, disabled are completely ignored by an unethical, corrupt government that has hired thousands of lazy, incompetent, highly paid bureaucrats to play with their pet projects from their homes in their pajamas. And now it's rumored that Turd Boy is going to resign. That basically suspends Parliament. That is going to be suspended until the Liberal Party finds some other deceitful, corrupt Soros puppet to run their party. Either way, the Liberals are still going to try to extort the vote by paying for those 5 million illegitimate Canadians to vote for them. And the lying Liberals they just can't handle their jobs. So that's the incompetent son of Castro. I don't know if you can see my shirt today, but there he is. But you know what? Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere comes a comment from Uncle Trump. And what does he say? Hey, if that incompetent son of Castro can't run the country with his lying liberals, why doesn't it become the 51st state? Wow, what an opportunity that would be. Wouldn't that be amazing? I mean, our tax bracket would change. Our dollar for dollar value would be 50 cents more than it is now. We'd get a constitution and a charter of rights that would allow us to protect ourselves and the right to bear arms or arm bearers. I'm not sure how that works. I mean, that would be an amazing thing. Meanwhile, there's terrorist attacks going on in the United States. But you know what? It's time, Danielle Smith. If you ever watch this or see this, you know, I'm in Alberta. Here's the point. Maybe it's time for you to get off your ass and disassociate us from this ridiculous liberal government-run country that used to be incredible, but now it's just getting further and further down the hole. It's time. Let's become that 51st state. Speaking of those terrorist attacks, Joe Biden selling wall parts. Meanwhile, let me see if I can pull up this reel because it's actually pretty interesting. It comes from a podcast that I watch quite often. It's a Sean Ryan podcast. Now, bear with me here. No pun intended. I'm trying to figure out how to run this, and I'm not very good at it. So I'm going to select this tab, and hopefully this share is going to work.
And this is where I have to be very iffy. I told him the car, and he can tell you offline. I cannot say this on the air. Iranian-made man pads to surface-to-air missiles had come across the border.
So we now have Iranian missiles. Who knows how many inside the United States?
I'm going to play that one more time just in case it didn't come through.
And this is where I have to be very iffy. And I told him in the car, and he can tell you offline. I cannot say this on the air. Iranian-made man pads to surface-to-air missiles had come across the border.
So we now have Iranian missiles. Who knows how many inside the United States?
That's insane. I don't know if you saw that, but Iranian missiles inside the United States. How bizarre is that? In the meantime, what's going on in the United States? Well, Sleepy Joe has been handing out presidential freedom awards. Presidential freedom awards to the likes of Hillary Clinton, George Soros, Ralph Lauren, and Bono. What is this guy doing? I mean, how did these people ever think that they deserved some kind of presidential award of freedom? George Soros of freedom? I found this other little clip that was kind of interesting that I'll try and post up here and see if you get it, but that's hilarious. Elon Musk posted George Soros looking quite good here with this lighting conditions. That's hilarious. Meanwhile, we've got Chinese having drones over the coast. That's just bizarre. Can't figure that out. They're apparently graphitic propulsion systems. I think I read that in a science fiction magazine somewhere. Now, these things apparently can defy gravity. They're drones, and they have an unlimited payload that they can deliver anywhere on the continental North American continent and bomb us or whatever. That's pretty scary stuff. But meanwhile, back in Canada, a bunch of E. coli polytech misfits. Now, I know that some people will say E. coli is incorrectly pronounced, but I kind of like the word, are in control of the RCMP and the Legislative House. And from their safe place under their little blankets, sucking on a big fat doobie, frightened of their own shadows, they're adding to the list. Yeah, the gun list, the list that is going to take all the guns away from law-abiding citizens. These social misfits have the power and the authority to steal the privately owned property from legally gun-owning citizens of this country. The people who own guns go through a 24-hour computer surveillance in a database to make sure that they can actually keep their guns. But somehow these kids get the opportunity to steal their guns. Now, it comes back to some bad person. We're not going to mention his gender, and we're not going to mention the religion that he belonged to, went on some gender-specific killing spree. You know what? It had nothing to do with the guns. Maybe it was his mental health, but Turd Boy wants to disarm this nation. Lots of crazy stuff. How about the death rates from COVID jab complications? Related cancers, dementia, heart disease, and all kinds of autoimmune disorders are now on this huge steep incline since the pandemic. Or how about more than 45,000 people who were killed by the MAID program? Now, I'm not going to get into a big argument or discussion about the ethics of medically planned killings. I suggest you research it yourself. But there's some serious problems. But you know what's really crazy? These kids think that guns are the problem. Guns aren't the problem. The liberal government is the problem. But hey, on a better note, let's remember last week's hero. Who was that last week's hero? Emily Duggan. Now, I'm sure you've probably seen this before. And again, I'm going to try and pull this up. I'm not sure if I'm good at this or not, but let's just hope it works. I know you've seen this a million times probably already. Okay, this should work, I hope. There she goes. She's walking really slow because she's crippled. She damaged her knee. Of course, the medical plan is so screwed up in Canada. She picked the surgery. There she goes.
Mr. Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Please get the fuck out of BC.
Have a wonderful day, ma'am.
Have a wonderful day, ma'am. Please get the fuck out of BC. You suck. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. How cool is that? That's just phenomenal. I think she needs the happy award for the week. And speaking of the week, it's a new week. New week this week. Guess what? Based on the calendar, that's the Julian calendar, we now have Christmas Eve today. So that means pierogies and cabbage rolls. There's a great little restaurant in town called Yo Baba's. If you want your share of pierogies and cabbage rolls, hit them up. They've got the best in the country as far as I'm concerned. So, those New Year's resolutions you made, well, we can get rid of the New Year's resolutions now because New Year's really isn't for a week from now. So you can still, lose weight or whatever you want to do. But hey, you can partake of pierogies and cabbage rolls. There's so much negative in the world. Let's see if we can have some random acts of kindness. Start smiling. Smile at the people that you run into in the grocery store or your walk of life, wherever it may be. There's lots of things we can do to make things better. There's a ton of dogs in shelters that really need a new home. That would be super helpful if you can, find it in your heart to adopt a dog. That'd be great. Let's do some positive things. Let's try and make this a better place instead of a negative place all the time. I'm going to leave you with this, so I'll close with this. And before I do, actually, Chris Peranto was on a podcast with Sean Ryan did an interview just last week, and it was really interesting. He said this referring to Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. He said, who am I to judge them? God will judge them and take care of all of it. Let's keep that in mind, because we really don't need to worry about a whole lot of stuff. So I'm going to leave you with this. 1 Corinthians 10:26 says, "For the earth is the Lord's and all it contains." Let's remember that. Let's keep that in mind, and give ourselves a chance to just let all the negative go, try and find some positive in the world, and have a great week. So let's be salty and stay lit. In the meantime, that's my face when it gets too frosty outside. Keep that in mind. So thanks for coming by. If you don't mind, try and do that share like thing. Again, I hope it works. I hope that the video worked and you got to see Sean Ryan's little interview there. And I appreciate you hanging out. Send me a text message or an email and let me know what you think. Thanks for dropping by, and have a great